All right, now one of the things I want to talk about real quick are the benefits of fasting as it relates to building muscle. Now, I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't fast. I'm just going to talk about the benefits. Now, when you fast, what happens is you create a momentary caloric deficit. Even if you eat a caloric surplus over a 24-hour period, it doesn't negate that if you fast for long enough, you create a momentary deficit. And what that does is it triggers AMPK to mobilize stored energy, and AMPK is the main trigger for autophagy, which is one of the main reasons why you'd want to fast in the first place. Now, aside from autophagy and anti-aging, AMPK also reduces inflammation, increases insulin sensitivity, and helps with using fat for energy. But the primary benefits of fasting as it relates to building muscle are, number one, it increases stem cells over time, which are required to repair damaged muscle. Number two, it sets the stage for a surge of anabolic hormones when you do eat, especially if you eat a lot in a short period of time. We're talking about elevated insulin, IGF-1, and activation of mTOR. The drawbacks, though, are number one, it's hard to eat enough calories to actually build muscle when you're fasting for most of the day. Number two, cortisol is going to be higher to mobilize stored energy, but that's not the end of the world because the body can still use glucagon or growth hormone to mobilize stored glucose. And number three, AMPK inhibits mTOR. So mTOR will be lower, which is good for anti-aging, but not so good for muscle building. The good news, though, is when you do eat, you'll trigger mTOR, but that will bring AMPK and autophagy to a halt. Now, as it relates to when does a fast start, fasting doesn't start until 3 to 4 or more hours after your last meal, with the greatest benefits occurring after you fasted for 18 hours. Fasted in this case meaning there are no nutrients left to be absorbed in your system. And if you want to maximize the benefits, you want to be awake and active for as much of the fast as you can, because sleeping slows everything down, so the impact won't be remotely near what it would be if you were awake and active. For example, the impact on AMPK when you're sleeping for 6 hours is closer to 2 to 3 hours if you were awake and active. So you have to remember why you're doing what you do. In this case, the purpose of the fast is to create a large deficit to trigger AMPK, because the benefits associated with fasting are largely due to AMPK, and it's a lot easier to create a large deficit if you're awake and active.